Anderson Emerald here, final day in Jamaica, and I'm going to be talking about my winners and losers from Grand Slam track. The first ever Grand Slam track competition just went down in Kingston, Jamaica, and it was absolutely amazing. But I got 5 winners and 4 losers from the week. So let's dive right into it. First off, the Grand Slam track champions, and this is in 2 parts. First, Kenny B, Melissa Jefferson, Alison Dos Santos, Sydney McLauglin-Levrone. Kenny B and Melissa Jefferson swept the 100 and the 200 in the short sprints for both the men's and the women's side. And in my opinion, both of them have the true potential to become stars in track and field, of course, of Grand Slam track across the board because of the success that they might be able to attain. They already have 24 points. At the end of all 4 slams, there is going to be a slam champion crowned, you know, for the athlete on the men's and the women's side who has the most points. Those 2 are already now front runners along with 2 others for that overall slam champion. Now, Kenny B, specifically in the 100, he of course is on paper not one of the favorites in the 100-meter dash. He took down an Olympic level field. That set him up for the 200, where it was, to me, a foregone conclusion that he was going to be able to get the win, which he did. Melissa Jefferson, she was probably the stronger favorite in the 100, but she then doubled back in the 200, where she was not the favorite, where she hasn't run in a couple years since she was at Coastal Carolina, and she got the win there ahead of Jenna Prandini, ahead of Jason Sears, ahead of a very, very quality field. So Kenny B, Melissa Jefferson, 2 there, but also you had Alison Dos Santos and Sydney McLauglin-Levrone, both of whom swept the 400 hurdles for the long sprints groups on the men's and the women's side respectively. We knew that Sydney McLauglin-Levrone was the clear favorite for the title there, and seems like she's going to be able to ride on through that for Miami, where it seems like she's going to, you know, run the same event group there as well. But she's going to go to, I think, Philly and run the short hurdles group, 100 hurdles, 100-meter dash, and then maybe go to LA and run the long sprints group, the 200 and 400. So who knows if she's going to be able to capture the Grand Slam champion, the overall title, but she really showed up and delivered here. Also, Alison Dos Santos, you know, I don't know if he was a clear favorite in the 400 hurdles because the event is very competitive, but, you know, he really showed up and dominated, showed why he is the 3rd best hurdler, you know, in the world behind Karsten Warholm and Rai Benjamin. But then you also had him not dominate, but he got the win in the 400. Very close race with Chris Robinson. Shout out to Chris Robinson. But Dos Santos, McLauglin-Levrone, they swept those, you know, the long hurdles group. You have those 2. You also have Kenny B and Melissa Jefferson. But on top of that, still in the Grand Slam champions, you had athletes like Gabby Thomas, Matthew Smith, Sasha Zoya. They all came away with 20 points to be able to get their championship titles in their respective events. Gabby Thomas, she got 1st in the 200, but then she got 2nd in the 400. Personal best of 49.14 behind that legendary run by Sawaid Nasser. Matthew Smith, he got 2nd in the 400 and 1st in the 200. Of course, the 200 is not a stronger event, but going up against some of these guys, he really showed up and showed out. And he said that he's tired of being called, you know, Olympic silver medalist. Of course, that's what he is, but he doesn't want to hear that anymore. He's going for gold, but he also is going for $400,000. So that's a good performance from him. Sasha Zoya, he showed up and showed out in the hurdles, the short hurdles, 2nd place in the 110s, 1st place in the 100. After that 100-meter dash, he went ballistic. He went crazy. One of the best celebrations that we have seen. So shout out to all of the winners. That's my number 1. Now, number 2 winners are my challengers. Those challengers who actually showed up and either won or got some 2nd places and kind of did surprise the fields a little bit. First off, you have Chris Bailey in the 400 and the 200, the long sprints. Dominated, getting 1st place in the 400, 5th place in the 200, eventually getting 2nd place overall behind Matthew Smith. But even ahead of that, you had Danielle Williams from Jamaica, who got 1st place in the 100 and 2nd place in the 100-meter hurdles. That gave her the overall win for Grand Slam track in the short hurdles group as a challenger. And she was the only Jamaican to actually come away with $100,000, you know, here in Kingston. Those 2 really showed up as challengers here. But then also you had someone like Dalilah Muhammad, who got 2nd place overall in the long hurdles group behind Sydney McLauglin-Levrone. You know, a lot of people, including myself, you know, didn't expect her to do as well as she did. She showed up and she showed out. You had Jenna Prandini. She showed up just like Dalilah. She was a last-minute replacement for, you know, one of the racers who unfortunately couldn't compete. Jenna Prandini shows up 2nd place in the 100 and the 200 to finish overall behind 2nd place behind Melissa Jefferson. Really strong performance. She literally just got a call, I think on Tuesday or Wednesday before the meet started on Friday. Huge shout out to Jenna. Tia Jones in the hurdles. She literally came to Jamaica with no expectations to actually run. Her and Tandra Bailey's group, they came for a training group. But you had Serena Samba Mayela pull out. You had Nia Ali pull out. Tia Jones just happened to bring her, her racing singlet and all that. Came here. She got second place overall in the short hurdles group. And then Dylan Beard also got second place in the short hurdles for the men. First place in the 110 hurdles. He got third place in the 100-meter dash. This man, Dylan Beard, he might have made more in one weekend than he makes with his salary from Walmart. Of course, I have no idea about his, actual salary, but shout out to this man, Dylan Beard, showing up, showing out. He's on the road to a contract, man. Get this man a contract, man. But that's my number 2, the challengers who actually showed up here. Number 3, overlooked racers. There's a few racers who were a little bit overlooked who I think really had some standout performances personally in Grand Slam track this weekend. Zarno Hughes. Zarno Hughes, I think he got overshadowed because of Kenny B, even because of someone like Oblique Seville or Fred Curley, who, are a little more high profile. Zarno Hughes isn't Jamaican, but he got second place behind Kenny B in the overall standings. Third place in the 100-meter dash, second place in the 200, again, which led to that second place overall. Zarno Hughes was coming off of injury early on in the middle of 2025, which hindered his ability to really perform at the Olympic Games. He did get on the 4x1 relay at the Olympic Games, which was able to get the bronze medal for Great Britain. But now showing up, listen, Zarno is in a very, very good position. But on top of that, Fred Curley actually got 4th place overall in the short sprints groups, but 7th place in the 100. He really didn't have a great day in the 100, on Friday. That was a pretty bad day for Fred Curley. But he pulled up to 3rd place in the 200. And what I loved about that race from Fred is you can literally watch him down the home straight in that 200 fighting for that 3rd. It was really like him and Oblique Seville. Oblique Seville was running very well, but Fred Curley was like, nah, I'm trying to get paid. I want this money. He got that overall 4th place in the short sprints group. So huge shout out to Fred Curley. And of course, huge shout out to Oblique Seville as well. Great performance for him in front of the home crowd. But finally, Jareem Richards. Jareem Richards got 3rd place overall in the long sprints, the 400, 200, 2nd place in the 200 behind Matthew Hudson Smith, and then 6th place in the 400. So not really strong there, but he got overall 3rd place, and in his post-race interview, he literally said this was the most amount of money that he's made in a single weekend in his entire career. This man is a world championship medalist outdoors. He has a world championship gold medal indoors. He's been to the Olympic Games a trillion times. He's run on various different world championships and Olympic relays for Trinidad and Tobago. He has a professional contract with Adidas, and he's saying this is the most money he's ever gotten paid in a weekend. Listen, shout out to Jareem Richards, but that kind of leads into my number 4 here. Any athlete who competed here at Grand Slam track is a winner. Any athlete. Why? Everyone got paid. If you finished last place in any of the races here, you literally got paid $10,000 plus your $2,000 appearance fee, from Grand Slam track. Minimum. Like, if you showed up and you competed here, you are a winner, in my opinion. I'll get to my losers in a few, but just in my opinion, it's hard to really conceptualize how positive this is for the athletes to be able to compete here. Like I noted with some athletes like a Jenna Prandini or a Tia Jones who showed up last minute. They got paid, an extreme amount of money for last minute, entries and just being challengers. Like, that is a real, high quality thing for the sport, of course, for Grand Slam track. And yeah, shout out to any athlete who competed here. I see you as a winner. Now, my 5th and final thing for my winners before I get to the losers, the fans in the stadium. The fans in the stadium really won because they got to experience such a high quality meet. I'm gonna have another video coming out about some of the fans experience. I got to talk to a lot of people who were in the stands over the entire weekend, but they won because they got an amazing experience. Everyone said that the crowd, the energy was loud, it was exciting. There was they had a lot of fan engagement in the stadium where people were doing like trivia. They were able to kind of like win prizes and different things like that. Seeing all the top stars who were competing in Jamaica, which doesn't happen very frequently, year after year, especially with a meet this size. This was a huge win for the fans who showed up and showed out here in Kingston, Jamaica at Grand Slam track. So those are my 5 winners. Again, my Grand Slam track champions, the challengers who also either won their events or got 2nd place or did very well. Also, some of the racers who did very well but were kind of overlooked, in the midst of things over the weekend. Any athlete who actually did compete here and actually won money, which is pretty much almost everybody, and then any fans in the stadium who got to experience Grand Slam track. But let's get to those losers. It's kind of windy here, which is crazy. So that's actually going to be my first loser. The wind on some of these days was absolutely insane for the competitions. Just for some context, in the women's 200 in the short sprints group, we saw negative 4.7. The women's 100 in the short hurdles group, negative 3.4. The men's 200 for the long sprint group, we saw negative 3.3. And that's just some of them that were like negative 3 or higher. The wind was crazy in the stadium. Obviously the times I don't even think mattered that much. I think personally, the competition was really, really good, but the wind really took away from, you know, I guess the experience in the stadium a little bit. Some of the athletes complained about it. Even in the 400 hurdles, you know, the wind was really getting to the athletes. And again, you might have been hearing it all throughout. It is windy here as well. Now, a couple other things. Number 2, any athletes who didn't compete or were kind of skeptical. Now, I'm going to separate this to 2 buckets where you had certain athletes who did originally intend to compete, but maybe had to pull out due to injury or due to something else that came up last minute. Like we said, right? There were some athletes who were picked up as challengers very last minute. That, I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about athletes who were skeptical, who were looking at Grand Slam track like, you know, I don't know if this is going to be good, so I'm going to just wait and see. Nah, like, I think y'all lost out on a great opportunity to compete and to, of course, win money, but to experience something new. Now, to be fair, some of them are probably going to join on later on, right? Some of them may join as challengers later, but there's some who are really hammering on Grand Slam track and being like, this, that, whatever. And, you know, it's not to come at anybody, but like, y'all know who you are. So hopefully we'll see y'all at some of these, you know, meets, hopefully as challengers. But if you didn't compete at this first one, I think you fall into my loser bucket. Not bad, but just saying, y'all lost out. Now, number 3, any of the fans who actually didn't watch or attend. And this, again, I don't want to be too harsh, but it falls into the same bucket of some of the athletes were skeptical, didn't compete, then, you know, that's on y'all. But also some of the fans who maybe also were skeptical and chose to not necessarily attend, because I know there was various different factors that led to people not being able to come, but maybe who were like, I don't even want to, you know, tune into this. I don't even care. I think it's a bad idea, and just chose to not even watch or entertain Grand Slam track. Listen, y'all missed out on some great competition. At minimum, you just missed out on great competition, some great performances, great head-to-heads. Y'all missed out. So hopefully y'all tune in afterwards. But the last thing that I have as my loser, my 4th and final loser, is any of y'all online commentators who kind of jumped the gun, right? Y'all know who you are on Twitter, on wherever, you know, y'all been commenting. But if you jump the gun, especially after day one, it's fair to be skeptical, you know, once the thing was starting, because, you know, I was in the stadium and it was, you know, slow to start filling up on Friday. But after Friday, and especially like after Saturday and Sunday, if you're online talking about, yeah, I don't know if this works, this wasn't great, that, like, I don't know, I'm not seeing the vision from your side. And sure, maybe there's some people who have some very, very, very honest and you know, genuine criticisms, which are always going to come from something that's brand new, something that's, you know, being implemented for the first time. But there's some people who are just like gun-ho, like, nah, the stadium was empty, nah, there was no fans there, nah, this, that. It's like, listen, go be you, do you, right? We'll enjoy Grand Slam track. And I know it sounds like I'm hyping up Grand Slam a lot, but I really, really, really had an amazing experience here in Kingston, Jamaica. Honestly, way better than I actually thought. Way, way better than I actually thought. Before coming to the meet, when I started at the meet, like I said, I was kind of nervous, you know, at the top of Friday. But by the time this is over, after reflecting for a few days, like, I thought this was absolutely amazing. So those are my winners and losers from the weekend here in Kingston, Jamaica, Grand Slam track. Man, this was amazing. We're gonna see Miami in just about a few weeks time at the end of April, start of May, and yeah, it's gonna be exciting. So let me know what you thought about Grand Slam track in terms of winners and losers. Was there anyone that I should have put on as a winner? Was there anyone I should put on as a loser? As you can tell, this wind is crazy, definitely a loser, but have a couple other videos coming out. Definitely going to be talking about the fans and, you know, those who I was able to speak with in the stadium and get their experience, and then have a couple other things leading into Miami as well. But if you haven't already, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Always appreciate y'all, and thanks for watching. Finally, my Overlook Racers, Jareem.